There's a brutal truth no one dares to tell you. The people you love with all your heart are often the ones who hurt you the most. They held your trust, your loyalty, your soul, and shattered it without warning. And now they've moved on, smiling like nothing ever happened, while you're left questioning everything. Does justice even exist? Do people who hurt others ever pay the price? In this video, we'll uncover 7 undeniable signs that life never forgets what's done in the dark. You might not see it yet, but behind their perfect photos and fake laughs, something is cracking. The collapse has already begun. And Keanu Reeves once said something that sent chills down my spine. The silence of fate is often the loudest answer. Stay with me to the end, because the pain you're carrying may not be a punishment, but a sign that something massive is about to shift in your favor. The first sign, their peace begins to crumble. There is one thing no one can escape: guilt. They may laugh, they may appear confident, they may pretend that what they did to you doesn't weigh on them. But deep down, their peace is already unraveling. When someone mistreats a child of God, they're not just hurting you, they're interfering with divine order. And God, in His justice, does not allow wrongdoing to go unanswered. At first, you won't see it. They'll still seem to be enjoying life, going out laughing, posting happy pictures as if nothing ever happened. And that's what hurts the most, doesn't it? Watching them move on effortlessly while you're left picking up the shattered pieces of the pain they caused. Seeing them carry on as if they've escaped without consequence, while your heart still bears the wounds. It feels like they got away with it, doesn't it? But let me tell you something. No one escapes the consequences of their actions. No one outruns the voice of their own conscience. It might take days, weeks, or even years, but eventually, the weight of what they've done will come crashing down on them. And when that moment arrives, they won't be able to escape it. At first, it's just a fleeting thought, something that creeps into their mind at unexpected moments. A late-night whisper in the stillness, an image that flashes through their thoughts, a memory that carries unease. Maybe they see someone who looks like you. Maybe they hear a song that reminds them of what they did. And in that instant, something inside them shifts. There are rare moments when the world suddenly grows quiet, when the noise that once distracted them fades away. And in that silence, their peace begins to crack. The things they once ignored now echo in the stillness. The person they wronged suddenly takes up space in their mind, in a place they can't erase. They try to brush it off, convincing themselves it wasn't a big deal. They make excuses, persuading themselves they had no other choice, that the fault was yours. But those are just lies, lies even they can't believe. When God deals with someone, He doesn't just strip them of material possessions, He takes away their peace. He lets them sit with the weight of their own choices. Guilt and regret settle into their soul, inescapable. They may bury themselves in work, new relationships, distractions, anything to numb it, but the mind has a way of reminding us of the very things we wish to forget. And no matter how hard they try to ignore it, the truth will one day come crashing down like an unstoppable wave. That's when the anxiety sets in. They become irritable, short-tempered, unable to find joy in the things they once loved. They can't sit still because stillness means facing the truth, and facing the truth means confronting what they've done. Their nights grow restless, sleep evades them. They wake up feeling empty, as if something has been lost, something is off. They may never admit it out loud, may never put it into words, but deep down, they know exactly why. It's the weight of their own actions, the realization that they hurt someone who never deserved it. What they once dismissed as insignificant has become something heavy, something permanent, something they cannot undo. And when their peace crumbles, everything else follows. Their mood shifts, their relationships suffer, their ability to enjoy life fades. They become disconnected, distant, unable to be fully present in the moment, because a part of them is still stuck in the past, in the very moment they thought they had moved past. They may try to run, they may blame you, they may lash out at others, but no matter how far they go, they cannot outrun God's judgment. Because when you hurt someone genuine, when you betray a pure heart, when you break a soul that only knows how to love and give, there is always a price. And the first thing they lose is their peace. And the second sign is when doors begin to close before them. God's favor is not merely luck or hard work. It is grace, a divine orchestration. The doors that open are not because of who we are, but because of who God is. And when someone is blessed, but another seeks to oppose them, harm them, or work against them, they are not merely fighting against a person. They are not just fighting against a person. They are challenging the favor that God has placed upon that life. And that is when everything starts to change. At first, they do not notice. Everything seems to be unfolding as usual. They wake up, continue their day as they always have, believing that things are still going according to plan. They convince themselves that they have moved forward without facing any consequences. They think they have escaped unscathed. But what they fail to understand is that when they interfere with the life of someone upon whom God has laid his hand, there is always a price to pay. At first, the signs are subtle, almost imperceptible. A missed opportunity, an important call that never comes, a once promising project that suddenly falls apart. They tell themselves it is just bad timing, bad luck, the uncontrollable forces of life. But what they do not realize is that this is not mere coincidence, it is divine intervention. Because when a person walks in God's favor, the blessings do not just cover them, they extend to those around them. When you stand next to someone who is favored by God, you too receive a portion of those blessings. You gain access to open doors, unexpected opportunities, and good things that seem to come effortlessly. But the moment you betray them, harm them, or deceive them, you sever yourself from that source of favor. You step out of the grace that had once flowed into your life. And then the doors begin to close. The people who once supported you start to drift away. The opportunities that once found you so easily now slip through your fingers. The relationships you once believed to be strong suddenly feel fragile, on the verge of breaking. You feel stuck, no matter how hard you try, unable to move forward. You begin to wonder why nothing is working the way it used to. You push harder, trying to control, forcing things into place, but nothing falls into alignment. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, the unease lingers, the sense that something is not right, that something has been lost. Because the truth is, when God closes a door, no power can open it. When He removes His favor, no plan, no relationship, no effort can restore it. They may try to fix it, to reclaim what was lost, even manipulate circumstances to achieve success. But success without God's favor is nothing more than a house built on sand, unstable, fleeting, and hollow. And it is not just opportunities that are lost. It is peace, it is confidence, it is the assurance of walking through life with a clear purpose. When God closes a door, He also removes comfort, strips away the certainty that they are in the right place at the right time. Instead, they feel lost, disoriented, unsure of the path ahead. They look around and see others thriving, see others being elevated, stepping into the blessings they once took for granted. And then they see you, the one they wronged. You are rising, receiving favor, walking through doors that were never meant for them. That is the moment truth strikes. That is when they realize that what they thought was just a choice, a passing decision, was in fact the turning point of their lives. That is when they understand that by hurting you, they did not just harm a person, they harmed themselves. They have pushed their own future into a dead end. Perhaps they will try to repair it, to reach out, to make amends. But sometimes, a door once closed can never be reopened. And what they once took lightly, what they once assumed would always be within reach, has now become the very thing they long for, but can never have again. The third sign, they are surrounded by hardships. There is an undeniable law: you reap what you sow. The consequences may not appear immediately, may not be visible at first, but one day, every action will yield its result. When someone treats you poorly, betrays you, or wounds you without remorse, they are sowing seeds for their own future, seeds that will grow into hardships they never saw coming. At first, their life appears normal. They go about their days as if nothing happened. They wake up, go to work, meet friends, and enjoy life, as if their actions carried no weight. From the outside, they might even seem successful, thriving, and that is infuriating. How is it fair that someone who hurt you so deeply continues to live so well? But what they don't realize is that the consequences have already begun to take shape around them, quietly, subtly, like the creeping darkness at dusk. It starts with small things, minor inconveniences, tiny setbacks, little disappointments they can easily brush aside. They might begin to feel drained, unmotivated, restless without understanding why. Or perhaps small obstacles arise. A job that seems secure suddenly slips away. A perfect opportunity vanishes without warning. They dismiss it as bad luck, a rough patch, just the unpredictability of life. But over time, the weight grows heavier. Relationships that once felt unshakable begin to crumble. People they trusted start to drift away. The support they once relied on disappears. And just as they abandoned you in your pain, they now find themselves surrounded by struggles they cannot escape. The ease they once took for granted turns into an uphill battle. Their confidence fades. Every step forward feels like trudging through mud, slow, exhausting, and riddled with doubt. They try to fix it, to regain control. But the harder they push, the more resistance they meet. Obstacles appear out of nowhere, plans unravel, and everything they once held slips through their fingers. And in their quietest moments, when there is no one left to distract them, a thought flickers in their mind. Could all of this be the consequence of what they have done? They recall their actions. They remember how they treated you. They think back to the pain they caused, the betrayals they committed, the words that cut like knives. For the first time, they begin to see a pattern. From that moment on, their life takes a downward turn. But pride is a powerful thing. Rather than acknowledge their mistakes, rather than repent, rather than truly make amends, they continue to deny. They keep pretending nothing is wrong, turning a blind eye to the undeniable truth. But what they don't realize is that the more they ignore it, the deeper they sink into the very trap they set for themselves. Many, when faced with hardships of their own making, fight back in the worst way. They blame others, blame circumstances, blame anything but themselves. But no matter how much they deny it, reality remains unchanged. The storms they created rage on, refusing to disappear simply because they refuse to see them. And just as they once left you helpless and alone, they now find themselves in a world where nothing is certain. Because when you hurt someone who only wished you well, when you betray someone who gave you nothing but kindness, you don't just break them. You set yourself on a path towards suffering. Not because of revenge, not because of hatred, but because the justice of the universe, the law of cause and effect, the will of God, will never allow injustice to persist without consequence. And when hardships close in, when every escape turns into a dead end, they will have no choice but to face the truth. What they gave is now returning to them. The fourth sign, they lose what they once took for granted. Life has a way of teaching those who take their blessings for granted a lesson they won't forget. When someone mistreats a good person, when they deceive, betray, or walk away from someone who was nothing but genuine with them, they don't immediately recognize their mistake. They assume life will go on as before, that what they have will always be there, that they can move forward without facing any consequences. But what they fail to understand is this: every blessing in life has a source. And when they disregard what they should have cherished, they are, in truth, dismantling their own fortune. At first, everything seems normal. They continue living, oblivious to the storm approaching. They believe they made the right choice, that they had valid reasons for their actions, that they did nothing wrong. They immerse themselves in temporary pleasures, in new people, new experiences, trying to convince themselves that what they left behind never truly mattered. But time has a way of revealing the truth. Slowly, piece by piece, the things they once took for granted begin to slip away. The people they thought would always be there suddenly grow distant. The love, loyalty, and kindness they once received so effortlessly are no longer theirs. They look around and realize the support system they once assumed was unshakable is gone. The person who prayed for them, encouraged them, stood by them through their darkest moments, no longer stands in their corner. At first, they don't even recognize what's happening. They feel a void, but they can't quite understand why. They try to fill that emptiness with fleeting pleasures, with shallow connections, but nothing seems to satisfy. Because what they had with you was not ordinary. It was rare, a gift, a divine blessing. And they failed to honor it. Then the losses continue. The job they once thought was secure begins to crumble. The opportunities they assumed would always be available suddenly disappear. The inner peace they once carried is replaced with anxiety and unrest. They begin to realize nothing is permanent. especially the things they took for granted. It's not just about losing a person, it's about losing the very things that kept their life steady and peaceful. Slowly, they start to notice a strange pattern. The confidence they once had begins to waver. The things they once prided themselves on, the things they believed were theirs by right, start slipping through their fingers. And then reality strikes. They turn back, and for the first time, they understand that what they abandoned was far more valuable than they ever realized. Memories flood in, images of your kindness, of how you were always there, of how you gave love without expecting anything in return. They recall the peace they felt when you were around, how everything in their life seemed to flow smoothly, effortlessly, simply because of your presence. And now all of it is gone. They search for those same things in others, in new relationships, but it is never the same. Because God never allows someone to take a blessing lightly and continue moving forward without feeling the weight of loss. And by the time they realize this, it is often too late. The door is closed, the opportunity has passed, and the only thing left is the painful truth that what they once had will never return. You see, true justice doesn't always look like revenge, it looks like growth. Like walking away from what broke you and stepping into something stronger. That broken relationship. It didn't end you, it revealed you. And sometimes the greatest motivation comes not from being loved, but from surviving what tried to destroy you. Keanu Reeves once said, "The people who are meant to be in your life will always gravitate back to you." And those were just the first 4 signs, but the truth gets even deeper. In part 2, I'll reveal 3 more signs that will change the way you see everything. Stay tuned.